Overwatch League of Champions. This is the continuation of Week 13, although Week 13 was officially last week. This game had to be carried over into this week, as there was a scheduling conflict going on. So, they were finally able to figure that out, and we are able to play, these two teams are able to play today. And right now we have Voltage versus Castillo Titans, and these teams are definitely two of the top teams in our league. And both these teams actually, I think, have a good chance of taking over Antimatter and finally dethroning them. Although Anti is still a very, very powerful team, and no matter who wins, it's going to be a very uphill battle for any of those teams. Playoffs looking like it's going to be next week, and from what it looks like, is it's going to be a single elimination. Whoa. That should be a fun way. It's different from what we did last season where we had the double elimination. And I think the single is going to work a little bit better. But both teams do look ready to go. I'm just making sure that, because somebody said that looks like there's a couple private profiles. I'm just checking to see if they are private. It's public. That's public. Because I don't think I have any of these guys added. And I believe both teams are ready to go. I'm just going to double check on that. And both teams are ready to go, so let's go into our first map of this series, Numbani. Now, the nice thing about Week 13 here is that it has its own map set. So, we should be seeing quite a few different maps come out of this rotation. The map sets being Oasis, Numbani, Volskaya Industries, Rialto, with Nepal being our tiebreaker. So, different map sets coming out of this, and then for playoffs starting next week, we're going to have some of the better maps in the game, in my opinion. So, King's Row, we'll have Lijiang Tower, Temple of Anubis, Junkertown, and then Ilios being our tiebreaker. Everyone seems... I just think everyone loves Ilios. Those environmentals are always so much fun on that. Well, let's see what these teams are going to run now. We do see Voltage. They're going to be running, it looks like, the Orisa Hammond. Not a bad setup. Hammond being able to do those separate flank routes, able to really get into the backlines of the enemy team. With the Orisa being that strong shield, able to really defend on those choke points. Whereas, it looks like from the side of Castillo, we're going to see more of a dive composition. Now, we've got the Hammond, the Winston. Instead of playing the Demon, they're going to be playing on the Hammond, which isn't necessarily a bad pick. Hammond can do a lot, especially in a dive composition. Using that Genji is also going to be very powerful. But what's strange to me is them using the Brigitte. Brigitte is not necessarily able to dive into an enemy team. She's really going to be there to protect the Ana, I feel. Actually, no, they're going to be running with a Lucio, so two off heals. It's going to be an interesting setup coming out of Castillo, I think. Running with the Lucio and the Brigitte rather than, say, a Mercy or a Moira. Castillo moving around this back side of the point, immediately able to get onto the point. It looks like Voltage is just giving him some space. Chase Stewart, though, is going to come away with the first pick of this fight. Getting a nice pick onto Samajito. That's already one healer gone, and that Brigitte is going to fall very shortly after, falling to Defenji. Mythic player is going to take out Eva Defran, but it's not really going to stop much, as the Resurrect is going to come out on Eva Defran, and this looks like a complete reset for Castillo immediately. I think they're definitely going to have to rethink their strategy. This Orisa is really going to feed into this dive composition. And they also have the Baptiste on the side of Voltage. That Immortality field, so powerful, is such a useful ability. What Castillo's going to have to do is they're going to have to force that ability out. Whether they're going to have to force him to use it on himself, or they're going to have to make them think that they're initiating a push. and then wait for that immortality to fall or destroy it, and then actually push forward. Hammond coming into the front lines, it looks like, of Castillo, with Castillo's Hammond immediately coming in. The immortality field being destroyed, and that allows Kingpin to be killed. However, Jay Stewart fires back, taking down King, as well as taking down Overhaul. That's both tanks down, and a Riptide comes in, taking both Genji and Mercy, and that's going to be a complete reset once again for Castillo Titans. Castillo might have to rethink their strategy, as they're just losing people left and right. Lloyd Williams on this Hammond being a huge force for the side of Voltage, immediately dropping in. Is not going to catch anyone with that pile driver. That Castillo's Hammond actually forced out that pile driver, it looks like, causing him to reposition in a bad spot. Mines come out from the side of Voltage, not looking like they're taking anybody. Instead, the Winston is going to be starting to act as a minesweeper, trying to clear out those mines, even with the Fran being resurrected. Genji, on the side of Castillo Titans, has a Dragon Blade. Let's see if he's going to use it, possibly looking to try and take out this immortality before popping it. Instead, he's going to back out, as Voltage did take a lot of people, including the Winston falling to that mines. Ultimates, though, on the side of Castillo Titans are all online almost. The only one they're missing is the Lucio. They will have almost every ult in this next fight. Whereas from the side of Voltage, they use 2 ults, but they have a Junkrat. And Junkrat can get his ult back fairly fast. And a nice pick immediately onto Kingpin would have been an immediate time to initiate, but that Resurrect did come out. Minefield comes in with Winston popping in a massive Rocket Barrage, taking out both Evil Defend and Shanzi. That takes out one of the main heals, with Cupcake taking out the Junkrat. And it looks like Castillo finally able to make some headway onto this point and able to capture this first checkpoint, or first objective rather, as this is our hybrid map. I don't know if Voltage is really going to want to push in. They have almost captured this point fully, and I think they're just going to start setting up for the next fight. Shader, though, taking out an immediate pick onto Evil Defend, which will be resurrected, with Kane falling to Defenji. Hammond immediately pushing them back, and it looks like it's taking some of their attention away from where this Genji is, and started to be able to do some damage to Defenji, but it didn't look like anything was really done fully. Mime popping the Orisa up. Not really gonna, and we're gonna see the Dragon Blade though come out of Shader, and he's gonna take out 2 picks, both Junkrat and Soldier, as well as taking out Defenji, and simply massive Dragon Blade coming out of Shader. And that's going to allow Castillo to keep this payload moving forward. We do see, though, Jay Stewart does have this Riptide ready to go. Castillo used almost all of their ults in those initiations. Cupcake still having a Valkyrie coming online very shortly, as well as them seeing that their mines are going to come up very soon as well. Jay Stewart with this Riptide, though, is going to be such a powerful force. Let's see if he's going to try and pop it here. I think he might, seeing how many people are on the point. Here comes the Riptide. And it's only going to get Shader, but still a nice pick, keeping this fight and allowing them to start to, what's the word I'm thinking of? Stabilize. It's hard for me to think sometimes. We do see that Castillo Titans, although, actually, I think Castillo Titans actually has an up in the ult economy right now. I mean, they have a tank ultimate, as well as they have a massive offensive ultimate from the Rocket Barrage, but an unprotected Pharah is such an easy target. Especially when she pops that Rocket Barrage, so they're going to have to pick and choose her fight. Mythic Lair is definitely going to have to pick and choose their fight of when they want to use this Barrage. Rocket Barrage is going to come out, which will take out the Fenji, but an Immortality Field comes in to save the life of Voltage's Hammond, but it's not going to matter, as the picks are still falling in favor of Castillo Titans for right now. Evil Defran will take out Cupcake, but San Francisco is still there as their healer and taking out those picks in their favor. Sombra on this Shader, switching off the Genji onto the Sombra, going to be such a massive asset, as that hack is so powerful. Floyd switching off to the Roadhog. Instead of being that Hammond, Roadhog might be a much better pick, able to choose who they want to take out of position. Roadhog looking like he's going for a flank round. We see that Overhauled is going to use those mines to take out both DPS as well as rushing in to try and take out that Moira. Instead, he's going to use his sights onto that Orisa and then move back. With a nice pick, though, from San Vegito onto Jay Stewart. And it looks like Castillo is just going to keep this payload moving forward. They had a bit of a rocky start at the beginning, but it looks like they figured out what they need to do, starting to really pinpoint those precise targets. Orisa being hacked. That's going to be a fairly easy pick. San Vegito will be taken out by a Deadeye, with Floyd taking out iCupcake. Floyd still going to stay in this, but for how much longer, I'm not sure. Rocket Raj comes in, will take out Floyd, but Shanzi will come in with that Mercy and take out Mythic Flare. And it looks like that's a nice stabilize for Voltage. 1 minute left on their time bank. Castillo is going to have to make a massive push, but the benefit is they have an EMP coming online very shortly, and if they can make it big enough, that's going to be the massive game changer coming out from Castillo Titans out of this. Kane looking for his opportunities to get the supercharger into this fight. All these offensive ultimates out of the side of Castillo Titans. It's going to be such an important fight. Castillo Titans pops their supercharger. Damage is going to be pumping in, as well as Voltage's supercharger comes in, but the picks are falling in favor of Voltage. Tactical Visor, I can't think of the name of it, comes out. It doesn't catch anybody, but we also still see that Floyd has his whole hog and a nice bit of tactical crouching coming out of the side of Voltage onto their Roadhog of Overhaul. Floyd looking for this pick onto this Pharah. If they can take out this Pharah, it's going to be a strong stagger for the side of Voltage, both taking out San Vegito and Mythic Flare. And it looks like the whole hog is going to come out from Voltage, and it looks like this is going to be the end of this fight. Voltage able to hold the payload right where it stands. No, both teams, even though Castillo Titans did lose that, I do think that both teams are being very strong in this game so far. Neither one really giving the other much wiggle room. Like, any mistake that either team makes is just being capitalized off of. It's definitely going to come down to which team is going to... I think this is actually going to come down to which team is going to have the stronger defense. As we've seen both teams be very aggressive at times. And it's real. I really think it's going to come down to the defensive plays from these teams. Like, the offensive ultimates aren't going to be as strong, I don't think. But we're going to find out as these games continue. Castillo Titans running with it looks like the double shield meta that we've been seeing currently with the Sigma Orisa. Whereas from the side of Voltage, they're going to be running a very similar composition that Castillo was running in the beginning. But instead, actually no, not that similar. They're going to be running a more similar composition of what they were running in the beginning with the Hammond Orisa. Orisa not necessarily seen too often as an offensive tank, but can be done. The fact that she can throw her shield makes her very useful as an offensive tank if you put that shield in the right spot. Whereas, this is why you normally see, though, more of the Reinhardt or the Winstons coming out from the offense. Mythic Flare is still playing on this bar, not really wanting to change that up, and I don't blame Castillo. We've seen Mythic on this bar before, but I think Voltage also has, and they're really watching and making sure that Mythic can't really get much done with this bar. Hammond immediately getting onto the point, but with Bastion here in this high ground, it's going to be very hard for Voltage to really make any headway, as this Bastion can just mow down anything that Voltage wants to try and do. Hammond trying to knock some people away. That shield, unfortunately, was misplaced by Voltage, and that's going to a Mythic Flare is actually the one that fell from that. But an immortality, as well as Cupcake falling to Floyd, and it looks like that misplaced shield is going to be a huge pain for Castillo in this fight right now. With Shanzi actually coming away with many of these picks so far, coming away and taking out San Vegito as well. You'd love to see the Mercy picks sometimes. And it looks like just an easy cap for Voltage from that. And this is what I was saying, that these teams, we've seen both these teams be very aggressive, and that looks exactly what Voltage is doing, not really wanting to play the defensive game. They want to play the offensive one, coming away with more time on their time bank. Arisa setting up that shield. Sigma using this shield to its effectiveness, taking in some of that damage to gain some self-shields from that. It looks like, though, Voltage really being unhindered as Castillo just continues to back up. It's a much different thing than what we normally see, and Cupcake popping that Valkyrie, keeping everybody up as best as she can. An Amplification Matrix is also going to come out from the side of Castillo Titan. But that caused Castillo's defensive ult to come out with that Valkyrie, whereas from the side of Voltage, they still have two defensive ults with the Lucio and the Mercy. The Cupcake looks like she almost was picked. She will be picked by the Tactical Visor with the Immortality Field is going to come out from the side of Castillo, but it looks like that Tech Visor is going to be a completely massive, taking out both supports as well as taking out their tank, all of it, Sigma, and a nice team kill to push this payload into that second checkpoint. However, Voltage did use almost all their ults. They used both the Valkyrie and the Sound Barrier, as well as they used the Pulse Bomb and Tactical Visor, meaning that they only have their Supercharger left, whereas from the side of Castillo, we have now the Gravitic Flux online for the side of Castillo in the form of Overwhelm. And he is going to pop that Gravitic Flux, going to catch it. Looks like he caught one, and it will cause him to fall. Floyd, though, will take out Mythic Slayer, but I don't think it's really going to matter, as that Resurrect is going to come in onto Mythic, but same for Jay Stewart. And now the teams are lined up once again, but a simply massive Rocket Barrage taking down both Jay Stewart and Defenji, and that is going to end that fight for Voltage for right now. Nice cleanup drop coming in from Mythic Slayer, and it looks like Voltage barely used many ults. They're actually coming online with a whole hog, as well as they'll have a Sound Barrier on very soon, and Mercy can charge her ultimate very fast, as we've already seen from Cupcake, as she already almost has yet another Valkyrie, and she will have that online in the next fight. But the key piece that we're going to have to see here is Shader on this Sombra. Sombra going to be a massive piece for the victory of Castillo, I think. That EMP is going to lock out a lot of these abilities from Voltage and basically make easy kills. It can also help counteract the Tracer with that nice hack onto the Tracer. Tracer is a sitting duck right now, but she's already active with her team, as Voltage is coming back with those picks. That Sombra was in the backlines and wasn't able to help, and Sam Vegeta will fall with a Sound Barrier in the pocket. And we're going to see Doomfist come out from the side of Castillo Titan, possibly to try and keep some contestation going on. And I think Overwhelm might have to use this Gravitic Flux. He will be picked, though, by Shanzi, and it looks like the EMP is going to come out, going to catch almost everyone that was alive from the side of Voltage, but nothing was there to capitalize off of it. And this point is going to be pushed. Doomfist on the side of Castillo, trying to do everything he can to keep this point contested, looking for that pick onto that McCree. He was almost able to gain it, but it looks like Voltage is still walking away with these picks, and Voltage is able to push that payload to its final checkpoint and take Numbani in their favor.
Play of the game.
Jay Stewart getting a nice play of the game in our next map in the rotation. Let me just double check. I think I know what it is. In our next map, we will be going to Oasis, our control point map, or assault map of the series. But both teams, just like I said, they're playing really well, and what I think is it's definitely coming down to the fact that both these teams have seen each other throughout the entirety of the season, and they just know what each other are going to run, basically. Our next map is going to be Oasis. Castillo Titan's ready to go. Let's just see if Voltage is ready. But really, any mistake that these teams are so well tuned to each other that any mistake that either team makes is going to be capitalized off of from the other team. Voltage looking like they're switching all the way over to Shanghai. And both teams are ready to go, so let's go into our second map of the series, Oasis, the control map. Now, it is possible that these map sets are going to work right into Mythic's favor, as Pharah especially used so heavily on Oasis that the only map that Oasis doesn't work with a Pharah is the one that not this one. It is University. That right now we actually have Lijiang or Oasis Gardens. The two maps being City Center Gardens and University. And especially Gardens and City Center, Pharah is used so heavily, so I think it might actually pay off for Mythic to be playing on that Pharah. But being said that means Voltage is almost for sure going to run a Soldier or any sort of hit scan, and possibly even a Pharah of their own. So it's going to be difficult for either team really to make much of an advance onto these, and it looks like we're not actually going to see a Pharah. We're going to see Mythic on the Doomfist instead, whereas both teams, it looked like they were both running a Reaper, but it looks like Voltage decided to switch over to the Soldier, and that's what I was thinking, that they might run a hit scan just in case that Pharah does come out, and Jay Stewart has definitely proven that he is a powerful DPS player. But we also see here Evil Defran on this Tracer, and that might be a big pick for Voltage in this fight, running more of that dive composition that we saw Castillo try to run earlier. Castillo actually switching over to a more classic composition with the Rein Zarya. Zarya immediately going to be picked, instant target, and Hammond pushes everybody away from that choke, and immediately Voltage has the advantage, definitely pinpointing targets, trying to figure out who they want. Hammond will be pinned, but Reinhardt now way out of position and will get slept out. Reaper, though, coming in. Shader taking out these picks and keeping this point in favor of Castillo currently. 2 picks falling in favor of Castillo, with Mythic player taking out Lucio. And although Voltage had that early pick, it looks like Castillo going to come away with the early win and capture of this point. Mythic player definitely showing his versatility. I mean, we've seen him on the Doomfist, we've seen him in the Pharah. I don't think his hero pool is actually very massive. At least not from what we've seen him run from Castillo. Kane running on this Reinhardt. We've definitely seen a little bit more of the versatility out of Cupcake, though, as running these different support characters. And it looks like we are going to see the Coalescence coming out, trying to keep her team up from Cupcake. Shader going to take a pick on to the enemy Reaper of Jay Stewart. And it looks like Castillo going to keep this point in their favor for the time being. Moira fading away, but very low on health. Death Blossom coming in from Shader, and he's going to be able to take out the Zarya, as well as taking out many of Floyd's proximity mines, and that's going to keep this fight in favor of Castillo currently. Floyd being able to escape with his life and getting to that health pack. It looks like Castillo has an overwhelming success so far with this classic composition. And I'm not surprised from this. This is definitely a composition that I know Castillo has practiced so much, especially with Cupcake. Cupcake plays Reinhardt a lot, and is probably one of the better. I wouldn't say she's one of the best Reins in the league, but I'd say she's one of the better ones. And that means that Castillo just runs with this Rein Zarya combo, an absolutely massive shatter, a late sound barrier, but it is going to come out in favor of Voltage for right now, able to take out Kane, and that takes out their main tank, with Ela Defran taking out Sam Vegito, and looks like this point is finally going to be able to flip over to the favor of Voltage. And Voltage will be able to flip this point over, but at 99%, that means that Voltage loses this point just once. Castillo's able to make that comeback and really take over that point once again, and we see that Voltage, they actually do have quite a few ults, whereas Castillo is missing 2 of them. Mines is going to come out and will take Kane's life. This will seriously stop Castillo from really making any advance forward. Those mines going right into the right spot. Hammond still assaulting the backlines, and it looks like Castillo doesn't really want him to escape, although he will be able to get away. Ult's still in favor, though, for the side of Castillo, as Voltage just used one of their ults. However, there is a massive combo right here, and that is going to be the Graviton Surge and the Death Blossom, and it looks like that's exactly what they're planning on. Blossom going to come out from the side of Voltage and Castillo, it looked like. Nope, Castillo did not use theirs. Instead, Voltage used it and was able to get massive picks, and it looks like this is actually going to continue to remain in favor of Voltage with yet another team kill for them. OLOC is on the side of Voltage. It looks like Castillo tried to make some push there, but it didn't really pay off, and now the only ults they have is the Sound Barrier and the Death Blossom. Castillo trying to figure out which way they want to push. They're pushing in through this side room yet again, but instead of wanting to push through the main point, they're going to push in through that major side. And it's Death Blossom from above, going to take out 3 picks, including both supports, and that's going to be a massive Death Blossom. And that's going to possibly allow this point to flip back over to Castillo's favor. Reinhardt playing Minesweeper once again, able to clear out all those mines with that big hefty shield of his. It's not going to stop Shader from dying, but this Hammond is really going to be the main contesting force for Voltage right now. And this point looks like it is going to quickly flip over into Castillo's favor. Voltage needs to get onto the point and keep that contest going, as if they lose this fight, they are going to lose this first map on Oasis. And it looks like these picks are going to continue to fall in favor of Castillo. Winston taking out both the supports, it looks like. And that could be a massive choice from Voltage. Hammond back onto this point. Tracer doing everything it can to take out this Winston. Jay Stewart, though, will take out Mythic Player. And this point might just flip back over to the favor of Voltage. Neither team really giving up this point at all. And this point will be secured by Castillo. Hammond getting off it at just the wrong time and allowing Castillo to take over that point.
Ready for battle.
And our next map will be City Center. One of those major Pharah maps that it looks like the team that's going to be running the Pharah is actually going to be Voltage with Jay Stewart. Now, with that, I think as soon as Castillo sees that, I feel like that Mythic might swap off the Sombra and possibly switch over to the Pharah, or even like any sort of hit scan, the Soldier, the Widowmaker, the McCree, really any form of hit scan, and that's really going to be what's going to be the deciding factor. Is this Pharah on the side of Voltage is going to have that verticality, and with that air support, I think Voltage might have a slight upper hand, at least in these early fights. Castillo already knows that they have the Pharah, especially now that they've lost Cupcake to it. And it looks like Castillo definitely trying to play around that gazebo, staying behind it, staying within it, trying to stay out of the range and out of the sightlines of this Pharah, who's already taken out both supports for Castillo, and it looks like Castillo is just going to give up this first fight. But without Overhaul actually going to be able to take out Jay Stewart, and that might give them their opportunity to start pushing in. Kane Hunt switching over to the Winston. That's going to change some things up for Castillo. Jay Stewart coming back with that Pharah. Shader on this Reaper yet again, looking to try and do the same damage and same work that he did to Voltage on that last map. Hammond being hacked. He's a sitting duck now. And that's what's going to allow a Mythic player to help take out Floyd. And this point looks like it's quickly going to go in favor of Castillo Titans. It looks like that Moira ult was burned, and she ended up falling while casting it to Shader. And the point will be flipped over with only 33% being captured from the side of Voltage. Jay Stewart taking yet another pick, because they have lost their Sombra now from the side of Castillo. They will have an EMP coming into this next fight, and this fight really hasn't ended, and that point was flipped over, but it's going to quickly go back in favor of Voltage. Kane Hutch playing on this Winston, looking for their chance to dive onto whoever they need out of this fight early on. Shader coming in with that the Shadow Step. Vinci has a Graviton Surge and might pop it very early on into this fight. Possibly even to just lock them out. Already at a 60% I think that it might be time that they pop this Graviton Surge. However, we see Mythic coming in, looking for that EMP. It was forced to TP out of there with that Translocator. And an EMP is going to come out. It's going to catch 3 people, including the Pharah. That takes J Stewart out of the air and immediately capsized by Castillo. And that's going to be a quick capture for Castillo. Hammond being hacked, and now he's a sitting duck to that Sombra. And with a Graviton Surge coming in, it did catch the enemy from Zarya, and that is going to allow this point to flip over in favor of Castillo. Both Gravitons used, it looks like, in that fight. And that's going to be a massive play. Whereas Castillo, they only have 2 ultimates. They have a defensive ultimate as well as they have a Death Blossom. They are coming up with a Primal Rage though. And that is going to help keep this contest going and keep Voltage off that point. Mines coming in is most of them going to be taken out by Winston Shields with a Primal Rage being popped in favor of Castillo Titans, keeping the enemy team out of that way. Evil Defend taking out Kane with that Deadeye. Kane had taken enough damage and will be able to fall to that Deadeye. And Zarya quickly falling soon after, and this point will flip back over to the side of Voltage. Neither team really giving up much of the fight. It looks like it's just going to end up going, this map's going to go in favor of Voltage, and we might be able to see University come in. Contests come in with somebody able to touch the point. EMP is going to come out from the side of Castillo Titans, and that is going to take enough people out with it. Rocket Brush is going to come in, but it looked like she got stunned out of it and will be taken out by Cupcake's Coalescence. And I think Castillo, once again, flipping this into their favor. These fights have just been so back and forth. And we still see Shader with that Death Blossom. He still hasn't used that. So it's definitely going to come down to which team is going to come out of this. Graviton Surge comes in. Death Blossom is going to come in. It will take out J Stewart, but the picks are already in favor of Voltage. With Defenji taking out 2, I believe, using that Graviton Surge to help him. And with the Resurrect onto this Reaper, that Winston is going to just feed him. And at this point, it looks like it's quickly going to flip back in favor of Voltage. And if nobody touches very soon, it's going to flip back over. It's going to entirely go to them. Hammond contesting the point as long as he can. Using that speed, he is going to fall. And this overtime is quickly going to take down Mines. Going to help to lock out this point. Somebody was able to talk from the side of Castillo, and it looked like it was the Sombra who quickly fell after that. Contest continuing to go on in favor of Castillo. Tracer on the point of Shader. But at this point, I think it's just a losing fight as the staggers are just coming in. And overtime will tick down and the point will be secured by Voltage. Both these teams really giving it their all, neither one wanting to give up at all. Our last map, we will be going to University. An interior map, and this isn't really where you see the Pharah. Instead, we are going to see Mythic come out onto the Pharah. An interesting choice, I gotta say, from the side of Castillo, as I don't think Pharah is going to be as well on this map. I mean, there is some verticality, but there's... I don't know. However, from the side of Voltage, we are going to see basically the same lineup that they were running. Evil Defend playing on that Tracer. They decided to get rid of the Pharah and play with the Tracer instead, and they're going to have Shader once again on the Sombra. Sombra really proving to be a huge asset just overall for Castillo, no matter who's playing on it. And Castillo going to run with a more common composition with the Orisa Hog, the hook combo coming back in full force, and being that Tracer was hacked, you see that Roadhog and that Sombra both drop to make sure that Tracer falls. You with the France switching over to the Soldier 76. And that is to contest Mythic's Pharah, and a nice quick swap. That's exactly what Voltage needs. They need to make sure that Mythic is contested, as we've seen how how much Mythic can pop off when he goes uncontested. Voltage definitely walking away with the picks and taking out that Lucio. That's going to be a strong pick, as well as taking out both tanks. And that's going to be a flip over for the side of Voltage. Castillo coming up with ults online, but it looks like that Voltage is still going to have the upper hand. An early resurrect onto Shader. You hate to see that being forced out so close to their spawn doors. And Voltage immediately taking up that choke position, looking to get that hook off. Almost a failed hook, unfortunately. Overhaul trying to come in with this Roadhog. We see that Defenji is still playing on this Pharah. Double hit scan, looking to try and possibly force Mythic off of that Pharah. Point starting to be captured. Is going to be that Deadeye is going to be able to take out Cupcake. And that's going to stop that point from being captured. Castillo has lost too many people, and a nice hook onto Shader. That's going to take him out of that fight with an EMP ready to go in the next fight, however. And Floyd, being a force on this Roadhog, will fall to the whole hog of Overhaul. But an early whole hog is not something you want to have. EMP is going to come out and will allow multiple hacks. It looks like it caught almost everybody except for the Roadhog. But it doesn't matter. These picks are still falling in favor of Voltage, and I think this point is going to just continue to stay in their favor. Even the friend with a tactical visor, I feel like this point has gone in favor of Voltage. Castillo starting to come in with the Doomfist, looking to try and make some contestation go on, but 90% on that percentage. I don't think that Castillo is going to have much of a chance to get out of here. Supercharger coming out from the side of Voltage with a coalescence out of Shanzi is going to help him take out Cupcake, as well as cause the death. Well, Kane actually fell to the whole hog, and that point will be captured by Voltage, and Oasis will go to them. Both teams, though, although Castillo has lost both maps, I do think that they can make a comeback in this. Neither team is really playing bad. It's just the slight mistakes that are being made. Either team is capitalizing off of it. There's just so much teamwork going on, and both teams know exactly what they're doing. Our next map, we will be going to Volskaya Industries. Our assault map of the series, and Volskaya is one of those maps that you see a lot of different compositions. Especially, I've seen a lot of the Bastion. You put him on the high ground right next to that point, and it's very hard for an enemy team to really push into that. Let's just see if teams are ready to go. If they are, we can get right into this. Yeah, he is. I could have sworn he was on it. It looks like there might be an issue that somebody isn't on the roster. Sorry for the silence, trying to figure something out. Sorry for the silence once again. Trying to figure stuff out. It looks like that somebody isn't in the server, which is technically against the rules. If he's in the server, then that's fine, but hmm. Wait, why is oh wait, did something happen and okay, I think I see what happened. Hmm. And it looks like Castillo's actually going to forfeit. Unfortunately. So I do believe. So I think I'll give MVPs now, and right now I think will have to give it to Actually, I think I'll give it to Jay Stewart since he was such a massive force on that DPS role. Whereas from the side of Castillo, it looks like yeah, Castillo is going to be forfeiting. So I'll have to give it. Actually, I think I'll have to give it to Kane on that. Kane being a really strong tank, I believe, and is really allowing Castillo to do a lot of those opening moves. So anyway, this has been for Algatron, thank you, and I will see you guys hopefully next time with Playoff.